All right, today we're going to decode a really powerful method that businesses use to figure out what things actually cost. It's called activity-based costing, or ABC for short. And trust me, it can be a total game changer for how a company sees its own operations.
So let's just start with a really big question. How does a company truly know the cost of making just one single product? Now you might be thinking, well, you just add up the materials and the labor, right? But what about everything else? You know, the electricity, the machine maintenance, the salaries for supervisors. We call that overhead. And figuring out how much of that overhead belongs to each individual product, that's where things get really tricky. It's also where the old traditional methods can get it totally wrong.
And this is exactly where activity-based costing comes into the picture. At its core, ABC is just a much more precise way of assigning those sneaky overhead costs. So instead of just spreading them out evenly like peanut butter over everything, it links cost to these specific activities that are actually needed to make a product or deliver a service.
And that right there, that is the fundamental shift in thinking. We stop looking at overhead as just one giant, generic bucket of money. Instead, we start following the money through the actual actions and tasks that use up resources. We follow the activities.
So how does it all work? Well, the great thing about ABC is that it's a really clear two-stage process. First, in stage one, we basically put on our detective hats and we identify all the different activities and what they cost. Then, in stage two, we connect those costs to the products that actually use them. Simple, right? Let's break it down. So let's dive into stage one, finding the activities. Like I said, this is the detective work. It's all about mapping out the entire production process from start to finish to see what is actually going on. The whole goal in this first stage is to get super granular. We're moving beyond vague things like factory costs, and we're asking, what are the specific actions that eat up resources? I mean, from the moment raw materials arrive to packing the final box, every single action has a cost. And our job here is to find it. So what does an activity really look like? Well, it can be pretty much anything. It could be the physical act of setting up a giant machine for a production run, or it could be an administrative task like processing a purchase order. It could even be the time spent doing quality inspections, or the resources used for customer support calls that are tied to a specific product line. Each one of these things uses up resources and, you guessed it, has a cost. Now, here's a key concept for keeping all these costs organized. Once we've identified an activity, let's say machine setups, we group all of its associated costs, the labor, the power, the spare parts, into what we call a cost pool. You can just think of it as a dedicated bucket of money for that one specific task. All right, so we've got our cost pools all set up, which means we are ready for stage two, assigning those costs. We've done the detective work, we've gathered all the data, now it's time to connect the dots and link those costs directly to our products. To do this, we need a super important metric called the activity rate. This is basically the price for doing an activity just one time. For example, it tells us the exact cost for a single machine setup, or the cost to process just one purchase order. It takes that big cost pool and breaks it down into a really manageable per unit cost. And you know what? The math here is beautifully simple. You just take the total cost you have in a cost pool, and you divide it by the total number of times that activity actually happened. So if your machine setup cost pool is, say, $10,000, and you did 100 setups, your activity rate is exactly $100 per setup. Just like that, we have a precise price tag for that action. And that's the whole point. We then use this rate to allocate the overhead costs fairly. So if product A needs 5 machine setups, we assign it $500 of that overhead. But if product B only needs 2 setups, it only gets $200. See? It's fair, it's accurate, and it's all based on actual usage. Okay, so now that we know how it works, let's talk about the big question. Why does any of this matter? What's the real-world advantage of going through all this? And this slide right here really gets to the heart of it. Traditional costing methods, they can give you a really blurry, averaged out picture. It's kind of like looking through foggy glasses. But activity-based costing, that's like switching to a high-definition view. Suddenly, the true, detailed costs just snap into focus with incredible clarity. So let's just boil it all down to the key takeaways. Number one, ABC connects those vague overhead costs to concrete real-world actions. Number two, this reveals a way more accurate cost for each and every product. And number three, and this is the most important one, this accuracy is like a superpower. It empowers businesses to make way smarter decisions, knowing which products are actually profitable,
where they can cut waste, and how to price everything competitively. And that brings us to our final thought. You see, this isn't just some boring accounting exercise, it's a real strategic tool. It provides a level of insight that can literally transform a business. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. If you knew the true cost of everything, what would you change?